Good afternoon, listeners. Thank you very much indeed for joining us for this week's Education Showroom podcast. We've got something really special for you. I'm very different this week, and I'm delighted to introduce Dawn, who is the founder of Junior Duke Award. Good afternoon, Dawn.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Great to see you. How are you doing? All right?
Very well, thank you. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Absolute pleasure, and thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, the title of this podcast has clearly piqued your interest. So, we are going to be talking about developing essential life skills, your children's, your learners' essential life skills. What does this look like? Resilience, problem solving, being independent, working together in teams, and motivation. We all know how important it is, but we also know how very, very difficult and challenging it is to actually do in schools and to make happen. So it's a lengthy title, but a really, really important one. So, children's essential life skills. It's never been more important, but it's so hard to do. And that's why we've got Dawn here today, ladies and gentlemen, who is wearing two hats, an educator hat, which Dawn will tell you a little bit more about, but also the founder of Junior Duke and why it comes to exist. Dawn, it's time for us to have a lovely little chat. So, our listeners, Dawn, would love to start to learn about you. So, a little bit about your history, your professional background, and how Junior Duke came to exist, Dawn, please.
Well, so I have been a primary teacher for nearly 30 years in Glasgow in the same school. And
Love that.
and our school goes from age 3 up to 18. And I have taught all the different age groups through the primary. But I also coach the rugby and I'm a Duke of Edinburgh leader and assessor with our older ones and have been going on camping, kayaking expeditions around Scotland for about 20 years.
Love it.
And so seeing the children that I've taken out camping, um, leaving their sleeping bags out in the rain because mommy wasn't there to say put it away.
I'm one of those kids.
And seeing them trying to cook. Some are really capable and some are really like fish out of water, and they clearly haven't done these things before. Um, Equally in my classes over the years with my little children, seeing some of them fabulously capable and helpful and aware, but some really not because it looks as though they have everything done for them at home. And so it's all about helping children to learn to look after themselves.
Mm,
That's where this all came from. And it was only in my school for 8 years before the school inspectors came and saw it and loved it and thought it should be shared. So that is why it's gone a wee bit mental and it's now in lots of countries around the world. And I'm
I
not
love it.
anymore.
I love it. So, Dawn, what was the actual inspiration to actually put this together? Is it all of those things that you observed, that you were a part of? You saw these, let's call them gaps in learning and experience and both. Was there kind of a moment where the penny dropped and you thought, I need to do something about this. I need to, I want to create something.
Absolutely. It was well, to be honest, there was a promotion coming up and I thought, what could I offer?
Yeah,
And so it came up with this idea of an award that would help children become more confident and independent and resilient,
yeah,
um, and be totally not academic. Our school's very academic, and our children would get points for being very clever or very
yeah,
sporty,
yeah,
but they didn't get anything if they got no recognition if they were just lovely, hardworking children. And so this was about getting, you get points therefore if you've learned your parents' mobile number, if you've learned how to cook, if you've learned how to manage money.
yeah.
And so that's where this came from.
Lovely. Thank you very much. And I think that dovetails perfectly into my next kind of, let's say, theme or question. What are the problems, gaps, issues, challenges, let's call them hurdles, that schools and multi-academy trusts continue to have, that have when you were in the classroom, things that you see, hear, observe? What are these gaps in regards to these essential skills and behaviors? What does that look like in schools and multi-academy trust?
Well, I think we can look even further beyond that. I think we can look at employers.
Mm,
and universities.
Yeah,
And the fact that I mean, it, so 90% of employers are looking for the skills that we really want our children to leave with the teamwork, the collaboration, the problem solving, the resilience. I mean, resilience is at an all-time low at the moment, and anxiety seems to be at an all-time high. So if we can do something to help with that, I think we should be.
yeah,
85% of employers are just doing skill-based hiring. They're not necessarily looking for the what's the word I'm looking for? They're not looking for academic results necessarily
yeah,
initially. They
yeah,
need the skills. And are our children leaving school with these skills? And as a primary teacher, you do science, you teach all these different lessons, and you get them working together in teams, and you're trying to get them to become better at teamwork, at collaborating, at cooperating. But it does take a lot of opportunities to become better at it.
yeah,
So it's about giving them the experiences and the opportunities to practice. I mean, I
yeah,
was sent a video just not long ago from a school in Dubai, and this little boy was on the stage. He'd finished a level, and he said, "I want to be independent when I'm older." He said, "But by doing the Junior Duke, I've realized independence isn't one lesson, it's lots of little steps."
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think just all these opportunities over and over and over again from the age of tiny is super helpful.
Yeah, well said, Don. And we did a podcast actually about 4 to 6 weeks ago with we interviewed a number of employers, and we were actually saying it was actually for work experience. So it was like that kind of angle. And one of the strong messages that came out of that podcast is exactly what you've just commented on and articulated beautifully, is that first and foremost, what they look for is those behaviors and attitudes and skills and resilience and being more work ready, more work prepared, more of those things, and
Mm.
less, not necessarily less, but those were more of a priority in the out and out academia, let's say.
I
So that's
suppose
absolutely perfect.
you can teach what you want them to be able to do in the workplace, but you can't teach them the skills that you really need them to have right from the start.
Yeah,
And it does
perfect
sound maybe
alignment.
it does sound maybe a bit odd that I'm teaching children who are like 4 or 5 and saying we want them to be work ready, but it takes a lot of steps.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the Junior Duke Award. Let's learn a little bit about what it is, how it works. Yeah, over to you. Tell us a little bit about it because I'm absolutely fascinated, excited, and fascinated.
Well, it's not in any way academic. It is 10 different levels, a workbook for each one, or online if you'd rather. But each of the levels has 14 challenges, and the children need to do 10 of them. And there are many themes going all the way through. There's cookery, there's risk management, there's money management, there's first aid, there's all sorts of things. Got sport, healthy living, sustainability, and eco. Super important. But there are also some random ones thrown in there, like building a fire, fixing a puncture, and all
Mm,
sorts. But they're all
yeah,
very age appropriate. So there's a booklet for when you're 3 or 4, and then one for when you're 5, and one for when you're 6. You just do one a year. And it's all about working at home with parents and family to learn these skills. Um, and our parents at school, parents I speak to, they love having it as a framework for what their children should be able to do. I
yeah,
spoke to one just last week who was really thankful, and she said, "Do you know, I would never have thought of letting him do, well, he had to cook an entire meal without any help." And
yeah.
she said, "I would have got him to help me chopping and help me with the dishes, but not doing everything on his own with me not touching the hot stuff."
Mm,
And he was
yeah,
perfectly capable, and now he can do it, and he's grown in confidence. And so I think we all need a wee push sometimes.
yeah.
So
One of
that's
the
what it's all
yeah,
about. So, oh, sorry.
that's really interesting. I mean, in terms of what that's lovely feedback. What kind of feedback do schools provide on a regular basis? What kind of little words here and there, or how would they describe it?
Well, they like the fact it's kind of heartwarming and builds
Mm,
such a community, and it
mm,
pushes children out of their comfort zone because it's not just their own class teacher that checks it. It's any member of staff. It could be the head teacher that has to check that you can tie the knots, or it might be the dinner lady that is checking that you've made soup properly, or it might be the office staff that's that's checking your knitting
Mm.
because we get them to knit a square when they're 10 years old to help towards a blanket. It might be the librarian that's helping check that you've planned a trip properly and that you've used a timetable to get a train or a bus into town, and that you know how to that you're able to do it. And the conversations that we have in the corridor are brilliant. So I think schools come back with what a community feel it creates.
That's fantastic.
And
That's really fantastic.
and I should say as well that the confidence that children develop by doing these challenges often then spills into their academics as well.
Yeah. Yeah. More confident person, more confident in the classroom, more confident out in sport, in everything that you've mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. For the school and mat leaders, Dawn, listening to this today, how can they get in contact with you? How can they learn more about the Junior Duke Award? Where do they go? What do they do, please?
Okay, so the website is the place to go, and that is juniorduke.com. You can get in touch with me at dawn@juniorduke.com or on LinkedIn, Dawn
Yeah.
Waugh. My name is in the wee corner there.
Smashing, super. And listeners, I would be delighted for you to get in touch with Dawn. Fabulous organization, helping and supporting not just the children, but yourself as educators and the parents as well, and the carers. It's a real community thing together that children can get massive amounts of value and learnings from. So please get in touch with Dawn. If there's any questions that you have for Dawn, it doesn't have to be about the product. If Dawn's mentioned anything today, you thought, oh, I'm going to have a chat with Dawn about that. We've got a similar experience in our school, or some of your learners, or whatever that may be. Get in touch with Dawn, have a conversation, and see and see what can be done. But Dawn, thank you very, very much indeed. One more time, Dawn, your website for everybody.
juniorduke.com. Thank you
There you
very
go.
much for having me on, Matt.
Pleasure. Dawn, thank you very much. Thank you, listeners, and please keep your requests coming of the areas for the podcast that you'd like us to focus on. Thanks, Dawn. Thanks, everybody.